It's time for EdTech Mondays, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.
According to the latest National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) Labor Force Survey, Nigeria's unemployment rate stood at 4.3%, while the time-related underemployment rate was 9.2% in Q2 2024. Across Nigeria, thousands of young people are taking online courses, participating in boot camps, learning digital skills, and pursuing certifications. Yet, many still ask, after learning, what comes next? The reality is that acquiring skills and earning a livelihood are not always the same thing. Whether in technology, the creative economy, business services, freelancing, or entrepreneurship, the real challenge is connecting learning to opportunities. Welcome back to EdTech Mondays Nigeria, a platform that facilitates critical conversations on the role of technology in teaching and learning to shape the future of education in Nigeria. I am Damilola Busari, and I'll be moderating the conversation. Throughout this month, we have been exploring how EdTech is helping young people prepare for the future of work. In episode 1, we examined what job readiness really means, and in episode 2, we also explored how young people discover and navigate career paths. Today, our focus is on the outcome that many young people care about most. How do skills translate into income? I have my guests here with me. Please welcome again Blessing Adeolu Adediran, Senior Program Manager, Senator Abiru Innovation Lab, SAIL. I also have Timothy Aluko, Program Lead, Gateway. And I have joining us on this program, Dr. Emmanuel Tafa, co-founder, Crypta. I also have Azeezat Adetola, a digital content creator. And I have back with me my live audience, proud alumnus of the SAIL program. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's get right into the conversation. Dr. Tafa, your beneficiaries at Crypta are often seeking practical income opportunities. How do you design programs that lead to work outcomes, not just certificates?
All right, thank you very much for having me. We've always known that the problem was competence. So we started out in management consulting. That's what the founders mostly were doing. And every time we finished a project, the clients wanted to hire the analyst, or they were like, I wish you could give me this person or that person. And we began to see that the problem was not only strategy or advice or research or whatever the project was, it was capacity. And what it simply means is this: how many times have these analysts or resources or staff, we put it that way, done the work? How many times have they done it? So, you know, the big four consulting firms, you hear stories like, oh, if you work for 2-3 years, if you leave, you know, you can now go to industry, command a higher salary, those kinds of talks. So there's something about the training of consultants that gives them that broad range set of skills and gives them diversity, you know, or range, if I put it that way. So that's what inspired us to say, okay, so why don't we just democratize this skill and make it practical? So when we are promising our learners or users, we're telling them, when you finish the foundational, getting foundational understanding of the subject, we would immediately start to create simulations. And eventually, of course, the exceptional ones are identified to move into real placements. But it doesn't stop there. To place you there and support you. We all know the unemployability problem or the underemployment, but specifically the lack of, I'll call them fully developed talent to meet the needs of employers, which are sometimes very nuanced and unique ways. And the only way to perfect it, or the way we know best to perfect it, is to let them plunge and learn. So let the learning be reinforcing activity in the work. The way learning has always happened right from universities, you are locked up for 4 years, you don't touch the work. Yeah, you say you do internship, but those internships, which we are revamping with one of our products, Elite Campus, we also know it's not effective. They send you to go and buy guguru and ekpa. That's granite and popcorn. That's what you go and do in the office because you're going to be distracting the line managers. Very few people actually get the real experience. So at the end of the day, you spend 4 years, you come out. But we are like, why don't we start to throw you to the real work? And we've been paying university students who have worked with us in various capacities to actually earn good money and have real skills. But it comes from being thrown into the job and being supervised. And that's where I won't call it a subsidiary, but our other business product called IPF, Intellectual Property Factory, is helping our Crypta users to build competence. Now, how do we scale that? I will answer that at a different time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the insights, Dr. Tafa. It definitely matters that as early on as possible, undergraduates get hands-on experience to help translate their learnings. Speaking about hands-on experience, for you, Azeezat, what barriers do you think that youth face when they're trying to turn skills into sustainable income? You've gone through the SAIL program. Now you are in the heat of it. So what barriers do youth face when they have skills, or how do you translate that into sustainable income?
We all know how to learn skills, but the issue is how to monetize the skills that we've learned. Now, in the aspect of monetization, we kind of learn skills, but we don't know how to negotiate, how to pitch to clients, how to position ourselves on LinkedIn, how to build trust online. We're already in the digital age where anything you are doing, bring yourself to the social media platform. Let people see you. Let people know what you are competent of doing. Let people give you an opportunity to apply whatever it is you've learned into real world problems. So until this particular aspect is met, it might still continue to be a serious problem to youths unless we learn how to monetize our knowledge.
So that's learning another skill too at the end of the day to help you translate the other skills into sustainable income. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Azeezat. I'm going to come to you, Blessing Adeola Adediro. What partnerships do employers, platform owners, marketplaces, what partnerships do you believe are critical to closing this loop? Blessing has said you learn the additional skill of how to make the income. But aside that, what partnership do you think we need to close that loop of from learning to actually earning?
To close that gap, one thing that's going to be very critical, like you've mentioned, is partnerships, right? So now the question is, what kind of partnerships should we be looking at?
Yes.
I think I like the point Azeezat has raised about learning to actually monetize the skill that you have learned. And so the sort of partnerships would be around talent development in monetizing your skills. So it is not enough to learn a skill. There's a whole science and art to putting yourself in the right place. It's called positioning, right? Being positioned in a way that you're able to really earn from what you have learned. And so partnerships around talent management in monetizing skills, in brushing up in terms of PB with personal branding. How do you brand yourself? How do you pitch yourself? Just like Azeezat mentioned, very important. So any partnership that helps to bridge that gap in terms of talent development in this area that we've mentioned, which is learning how to actually monetize that skill that you've learned, is going to be very, very critical. And, you know, it's part of the work that we do at SAIL. It's, for us, it's beyond just we're training you in a tech skill. We're also teaching you things around personal branding. How do you optimize your LinkedIn? I mean, you cannot say that you are in the formal sector currently and you do not have a LinkedIn account, or your LinkedIn account is not optimized. You are shooting yourself in the foot, because there are opportunities. But the question is, are you rightly positioned to access these opportunities? And so any partnership that has to do with talent development in this area is going to be very critical. How do we help these young people, the youth that we're training or that we have trained, through all of the workforce development programs, the many workforce development programs, right? So it's that coming together to say, now we need to move beyond just training these guys in the skills. We need to also enable them with the tools to monetize the skills that they have learned. I know a young person who was able to access an opportunity by himself because he had the right tools, and I'll explain what I mean. This guy had learned how to sell himself. He had learned how to pitch himself confidently. Confidence is very important. You know, oftentimes it's said that the opportunities do not go to the most competent sometimes.
Yes.
It goes to the most confident. So this young man was on Twitter and he saw he had learned product design, and he saw one of the founders of a top firm, you know, post about a problem, and he went into his DM and said, I have the solution to this. And the guy said, fantastic, send me what you have. And, you know, he said within an hour, he had put something together, sent it to him. And do you know that from that interaction on Twitter, he earned himself, I think, a 2-year contract with that organization just like that. So if he had not learned to be confident, if he had not learned to solve problems, many people solve problems, but are they able to pitch and say, I can do this? If he had not learned how to say, I can do this, that confidence to say he didn't have the top stage frights, like, oh, he's the founder of a big company, I cannot approach him. Nah, he just reached out to him and, you know, took the conversation further, was able to show him what he could deliver, and the man was impressed and he got the opportunity. So those sort of trainings, talent development in the area of branding, positioning, pitching, monetizing your skills is going to be really important in helping them to move from just training to actually earning.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that, Blessing. I'm going to come to you, Timothy. We know that with the Gateway program, you're trying to ensure that the gig economy is taken seriously. What provisions are made to ensure equal gender distribution and, of course, inclusion for women, persons living with disability as well?
So the great thing about the Gateway program is that it's heavily skewed towards women, right? So the goal for us is to support 80% women, right? Out of the 400,000 that you mentioned.
Yes.
And then we'll have a target of 5% persons with disability and 1% displaced youth as well. So it's a very, very inclusive design. But then inclusivity goes beyond just targets, right? You also need to make reasonable accommodation that enables women to be able to participate. So in the way we do our communications, in the way we've set up the program design generally, we've ensured that we've put modalities in place to support not just women, but persons with disability and displaced youth across their journey. So beyond the numbers, right, we've ensured that for people who don't have their own learning devices, for instance, we've created opportunities for them to go to physical hubs where they can access devices, right, and participate adequately in learning. Across those hubs as well, we're going to be doing what we call an accessibility audit to ensure that those hubs are very accessible, not just for women, but for persons with disability. And we're also going to fund some level of adjustment in those hubs, right? So that when we do the audits and we realize that there are gaps, we can also ensure that those gaps are closed. So generally in the Gateway program, I would say the program itself is very inclusive in design, in targets, and just generally almost everything is. And to mention finally as well, we have a pathway that is exclusively for women. So there are 2 pathways in the Gateway program. You have the Foundations pathway, which is generally for participants who identify as beginners. So you want to be able to access gig work, but you don't know graphics design, you don't know digital marketing. So we set up the Foundations pathway so that participants in that category can, in the first instance, acquire those digital skills. Then there is a growth pathway, which is for people who already have the skills, and what they're doing generally is learning general gig work skills, business management skills, financial management skills, and things like that. In the growth pathway, there is a 70% quota for women, right? And just a 24% quota for men. But generally in the program, we're taking in about 80% women.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that with us, Timothy. I'm going to allow someone in the audience now to either make a contribution, ask a question. Anybody?
So the name is Ufuma Ovalevo, an alumna, the SAIL Data Science, the Cohort 1, which was the median edition. SAIL is in such a way that there is a skill gaps, they want to fill in that skill gap. And what SAIL does is they are not just teaching you, giving you the skills you need, the competence you need. They also connect you with those industries, those companies that need the skills you have acquired that will add value to their own, activities, organizations, so that we might just talk about it in a way that it seems so easy, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of work in identifying the people that need skills, that are also committed to developing their skills. There's a lot of work in partnering with organizations that really absorb those skills after you have trained them and they have gotten those skills and they become valuable to those organizations. And I really need to credit SAIL a lot for what they have done. For us, the alumni that came from the first cohort of the data science, more than 99% of us that were trained, we got engaged. And how did we get engaged? It was because there was a design from the onset that we are not just training these people, we are training them so that after we have trained them, they'll be able to apply this skill and make a decent living from applying the skill. So what we did was we made ourselves available. SAIL took up the work of making sure that after we got trained, we got engaged, we got employed. And when we got employed, we also saw that there are other things you also need to do, just as we have also made clear that the things you have learned is the foundation. But when you come into the work environment, you need to evolve because the work environment is not static. We came into SAIL, we learned data science. Now the world is going into agentic engineering. And we've seen that now SAIL has given us the foundation that we know what data science is, what data is all about. And we are now seeing that the industry is moving in another trend and we are evolving with the industry. But if we didn't have this foundation, we won't be able to adapt, we won't be able to evolve as the industry is evolving. So I really need to give kudos to the senator for what he has done in building up, a tech hub that is designed to align with what the industry wants. I think, let me just stop there for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. It's key that beyond getting the opportunity, when you do get on the job, you also continue to evolve and upskill to ensure that you remain relevant right there on the job. Today's discussion highlights an important truth. Skill alone does not create livelihoods. Like Azeezat shared with us, you also have to learn the skill of monetizing your skill, right? Young people also need to access networks, mentorship, opportunities, marketplaces, employers, and of course, supportive ecosystems. The future of work is not only about learning, it's about connecting learning to opportunity. Next week, we conclude this series by exploring what it will take to build a truly job-ready ecosystem for the millions of young Nigerians. For you, listener, what is the biggest barrier preventing young Nigerians from turning their skills into sustainable income opportunities? Share your thoughts with us on social media or via SMS or WhatsApp us on 0703 165 0809 or call 0706 020 742. Don't forget, past episodes are also available on Spotify, EdTech Mondays Nigeria, and YouTube CC Hub Africa. Your feedback will help shape the conversation that we host and, of course, the policy dialogues that we advocate for. Until next time, I am Damilola Busari. Bye for now.
Tech Mondays, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.